All right, so welcome all to our Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses webinar information session. We're going to go through today some information, kind of exercise around financial statement. So before we get started, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Hall, and I am the Operations and Outreach Manager for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And with us on the call today is John Crable, who is the lead faculty on the 10,000 Small Businesses program, as well as the chairperson for the business department. And we also have Audra McIntosh with us, who is our business advisor on the program. So briefly, what we'll do today is go through, John will run some exercises around understanding financial statements. And then I have just a brief presentation, kind of overview of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And after that, we'll just go to questions and answers. So any questions that you all might have about anything, on the presentation or around the program, feel free to ask, and we can take it from there. So at this point, I will go ahead and assign the controls over to John. With me here. All right, John, I think that it is now going to you.
All right, wonderful. Let me go ahead and share. Go right into the presentation. And actually, I think this happened to me last time. How's that? You guys just have the presentation now?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So one of the things about financial statements, and Audrey, you've worked with dozens of small businesses in all different industries. What is the feeling when you start talking about financial statements, financials, bookkeeping? What are some of those gut reactions that you get from small business owners?
So there's a variety of reactions, but some of the most intense ones that come up are fear around the financial statements, maybe not understanding them, feeling like that's the last part of their business that they really have a handle on. And so there's certainly a lot of fear and concern around kind of digging in and really helping to understand the financial statements.
Yeah, that fear, right, is something that I would say the overwhelming majority of small business owners feel as they even look at the day-to-day operations and how that impacts financials. Not to mention, when you have that big quarterly meeting with your CPA or your bookkeeper or your CFO or whatever it is, most of the time your small business owner, your typical average small business owner, is just going to print off their Quicken or Quickbooks report, send it over, and then they don't want to look at it again. So it's almost that hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil type of concept. And I think when we look at it, we also have to understand that emotion of fear is something that we can use to make better decisions. And I think when we look at the guts of what financial statements are, they are that first step in evaluating how our actual decision-making process goes. One of the things that I like to do when I sit down with small business owners, and I know that the Goldman Sachs program does this as well, is the numbers don't tell the story behind how you operate your business. And the first step that I think is key to demystifying, taking away that fear, is just saying every number, every entry, every expenditure, every sale tells a story of some type of decision that you made over the past quarter, over the past year, over the past 5 years in the operation of your small business. So when we take it down and say, listen, I have control over these topics, I have control over these areas, we take it away from a number that has negative connotations. We take it away from fear-based decision making to a very proactive and positive place. And I think that we just need to have a conversation first about how do we change the conversation? How do we change the perception of what financial statements are? And if you notice here, when it comes back to decision making, that's you, right? That's your management. That's those are the leaders that you have going forward. And so as you look at it from a small business perspective, let's say that you have hourly staff. Let's say that they are very customer facing. And this could be from a bakery standpoint, from a retail standpoint. Are we losing sales? Are we losing revenue? Are we increasing expenses because we haven't communicated the importance of financials to all of the people that are working for us and with us? So I think just to set the stage for what this conversation is today, evaluate performance for decision making. How am I doing as a person? And understanding that we have great influence on what happens as a result of what those financial statements are telling us. Audra, I'd actually like to come to you on this one. Is my business profitable, right? And we talk about sales, we talk about net income, and we talk about cash flow. If we just look at this slide here, in the current context of COVID-19 and small businesses having been closed in Ohio for 2 months, what would you take away from this slide? What questions would you ask?
So the questions that I would ask a small business is, if you look at your sales, where are they today? So your top line revenue, we want to take a look at where they have increased or decreased. And with a lot of people currently, clearly there's a lot of decrease, although certain small businesses have certainly benefited. So there could be a potential increase. But when you look at sales, that's only one piece of it, right? So the net income is what we would start to look at in terms of, what are you taking away? So minus expenses. We have found that some of the small businesses today are really busy in this new COVID environment because they've had to pivot their business a little. And so when they've pivoted the business, it's been interesting to see some sales increase, but expenses increase significantly as well, which leaves them less net income. So while they might be busier, from a sales perspective, they might have less net income. And so that's something that we would want businesses to really take a look at to help them understand if that pivot was really valuable to be doing.
No, perfect, right? And I think when we look at the sales versus the net income, it's going to lead into our next slide really nicely, really seamlessly. But I also want to have this conversation on cash flow. Yes. And I think what a lot of small businesses have found is they did not have enough, right? They either had bad terms, they were taking too long to collect, they were paying out too many expenses too quickly, or they just didn't have enough cash reserves to be able to meet the demands of an unexpected consequence or an unexpected situation. And that's been across the board. I'm not sure that any small businesses really had enough to make ends meet over 2 months, and that's a long period of time. But I think that this really plays into the part of, am I a profitable company, but am I a strong financial company? And that's what cash flow is going to kind of help us work out going forward as well. All right.
And one of the things, John, real quickly, I would say about understanding your cash flow is it allows you to really understand how you can move within your business. So it enables you as a leader to make quicker decisions on your business when you understand where your cash flow is and you understand your financials. So it helps you from a decision-making standpoint. And I would say also, understanding that also helps you then monitor what that cash flow looks like. So one of the things that we've done in the program, for instance, is done a monthly cash flow statement with our small businesses so that they can use it to forecast out and analyze in different scenario planning.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for adding that, Audra. Okay, let's transition to the next one. And you talked about the difference between sales and net income. Am I efficiently using my firm's assets? The example you gave was, maybe our sales have stayed at a relatively consistent level during this pandemic, but maybe we've had to increase our expenses because we've pivoted, because we've changed the course of what our product or service offerings are going to be. Well, I want to actually take it from the opposite perspective. We know several small businesses that are in the bakery or retail or food service field that have streamlined their operations, that their sales are consistent or have not fallen off to a great degree, but they've really streamlined the product offerings that they're doing. And they're doing this for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a decision that they made, right? They couldn't offer 25 different things. They could only offer the 5 best sellers that they had. And so what you saw was a greater increase in inventory turnover, using the assets, using the raw materials, the ingredients that they had, understanding what customer demand was, and then being able to replicate this over and over and over again. And when you look at efficiency in the use of assets, I'll just use the same example here as well. Is you're not using one asset for 20 different things. You're using it at its most efficient capabilities, and you're replicating it over and over and over again. And again, I'm not sure that that's how this is going to play out once Ohio opens back up. We may expand what those offerings are going to be, but if you don't get into those financial statements, if you don't understand what you're trying to achieve with some of the ratios that exist out there, if you don't know what the industry standards are for those, then we're really flying blind at that point in time. We're hoping that we end up in the right position rather than pitting ourselves into that right position. Okay, so let's look at a couple more slides here, and then we'll be able to turn it back over to Stephanie. Should I finance my business using equity or debt? I would actually like to get Audra's or even Stephanie's perspective on the entrepreneurial ecosystem and how that impacts this. But I think right now we're going to start this conversation with just what's the availability of debt? What are interest rates doing? Are banks looking to loan money at this point in time? You look at the differences between large multinational global banks, and you look at the difference between small local regional banks. How do they operate differently? What are the options available to small businesses as they go through the growth process, or really trying to scale at a rate that they had not done so previously? So I think that that's the first part of it. What is available to you based upon your operations, your financial statements, and the local feeling from banks, not only national but also regional or local. So let's go down to the entrepreneurial ecosystem for the next part of this conversation. Audra, what should we be looking for when it comes to asking the question of debt or equity, and how do our local entrepreneurs, our local support agencies play into this conversation?
One of the things that I think you have to look at in terms of debt or equity and how you look at financing is first of all, to build upon John's last comments, is really understanding your finances. So you really don't have the opportunity to have any of those conversations if you can't talk about your finances and understand where your organization or where your business is heading. So I think that's the first part of it. And the second part of it is one of the things I think we're all finding now as small businesses is that it's really important to have a relationship with your current bank. So if you bank with a credit union, if you bank with a small local bank, regional bank, or multinational bank, whatever bank that you are with currently, it's really important to have that banking relationship, regardless of if we were in COVID-19. That's just one of the key takeaways today in terms of, financing and understanding how to build growth in your business.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I was going to say that's the one thing that I have heard from the people that I've come in contact with and through various things is it's really about that personal relationship that you're making with your financial institution, be it a small local bank, or a larger sort of thing, and really getting to enhance that relationship.
Wonderful. And I think it's important to make connections, make ties as we go through this presentation here today, but just larger and more general as well as if you choose to go the equity route, if you choose to go the debt route, again, that is a decision you make, right? And there has to be a process that leads you to that ultimate conclusion. I can make an argument either way. I can make an argument for crowdfunding. I can make an argument for virtually anything out there. But again, it's really dependent upon your operations, your goals, your aspirations, what you're trying to accomplish, and what options are available to you. If you don't get out there and don't talk to your local banks, if you don't get out there and don't network with existing support services like the SBDC, like ECDI, like the SBA, like all these other options out there, those are decisions that you make. And yes, you could make the equity route. Yes, you could go the debt route, but you may not be making it from the most solid position. And I know that when we look at the Goldman Sachs program, it does give people a ton of confidence when they go to make those financial decisions. All right, the last thing before I hand this back over to Stephanie is we really want to look at trends, trend analysis. Where am I going? How have I been performing over time with my small business? And you can look at it from a lot of different angles, right? You can look at it from revenue. You can look at it from net income that we have here. You could look at it from a ratio standpoint. How am I using my assets over time? You could look at it debt to equity. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways, a lot of different ratios you can use to give you a good idea on what that trend analysis is going to be. So if it is net income, you can see that this company increased year over year until 2018, and then they saw about a 33% drop in what their net income was. That said, their net income percentage did not drop by 33%. So they must be doing some type of good job controlling the expenses that they had as well. So when we look at these, we want to look at the industry that you are performing in, that you are involved with. We want to see how you have competed over time. We want to look at similar type of companies and how they have performed year over year over year, and take that as a all-encompassing view on how we approach the financial stability, the financial wellness, the longevity of what we're able to accomplish as small business owners. And with that, I will go ahead. And I will, hold on a second, John. There we go. All right. And with that, I will pass that back over to Stephanie.
Okay. Let me share this. All right. So did you all, let me see here. Let me try to share this content. All right. So I want to go through and just tell you all a little bit about the Goldman Sachs program in general. So The program itself is a small business program that really links the in-classroom business learning into action. It's definitely an applied learning program. So all of the stuff that that you would be learning in the classroom from John, from the other faculty, from Audra and the other BAs, are takeaways that you can immediately apply to your own company and start moving from there. The program itself, when we look at small business owners that we want to bring into the program, we're really looking for a diverse range of business owners. And the goal is really to have the cohort itself be very reflective of the community that we're all in. So as you can see from this, really half of the participants in the program, it's pretty much split, 50-50 men and women. You can see that the age range, it runs the gamut, as does educational level. So it's not something that's geared for just, one subset of people. It's really a diverse community representation. So the reach of our program, this slide kind of shows you all of the different locations where the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses has on the ground site cohorts running. They are from East Coast to West Coast. And we're actually really fortunate in Ohio because we have 4 different locations where we have sites running. So the Columbus program is part of a 3-city kind of joint initiative. So we're running simultaneously with sites in Cincinnati and Dayton. And then there's also a 10,000 Small Businesses program that has been running in the Cleveland area for quite some time. So one of the really great things about this program is when you go through it and you come out as an alumni of the program, you're kind of now in this very nationally based alumni group. So even though there's only site locations, in certain parts of the country, there's also a national program that has small business owners from all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and then some of the other territories. And as John mentioned earlier, when we were going through the financial statements and we were talking about, making those relationships, it really got me thinking about, this program in its essence too, making those ties and networking and making those connections. So when you come out, you're now linked with other small business owners that were in your cohort, other small business owners in Columbus, and other small business owners in Cincinnati and Dayton and even Cleveland. So Ohio is really unique in that aspect, and it's really good. So the partners that we have working with us on this program locally, our program is housed at Columbus State Community College. So we're working with partners within our own educational institution. We have a small business development center on our campus that we are very closely aligned with. We've worked with different chambers of commerce, the city of Columbus and their small business initiative agenda, and various other things around our own community. And in addition to that, we also work with national partners. So the program itself is kind of designed and maintained by Babson College, who is the #1 ranked entrepreneurial education institution by US News. So they're kind of our education partner in this. So that the curriculum that you're receiving is super top notch. ICIC, they are the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City, and they're our partner who kind of heads up all of the outreach, recruitment, and selection process for the 10,000 Small Businesses program. So just an overview of what the program offers. So, and what it entails. It's a business management education program. There's about 100 hours of class time instruction, some of it online and some of it in person. And like I said before, you're using your own business kind of as that case study throughout the program. So everything that you are, all of the work that you're doing is around your own business. The curriculum kind of runs the gamut of business management education, accounting, negotiating, marketing, all of that. And at the very end of the program, what you come out with is a growth plan that you can put into action. So through the program, you're kind of looking at, identifying a new growth opportunity for your business, and then kind of getting all of the tools that go into that. Through the program, we also help you make connections with institutions that can provide access to capital, and even various business support services. We have partners come in, panelists, people speaking, and you'll have one-on-one support from a business advisor who will be meeting with you directly, helping talk through some of the things in your business. So the program itself is absolutely of no cost to you. It's all covered within, all of the costs are taken care of. So the only thing that you would really be expected to contribute is your time and some other things that we'll get into a little bit later. But again, it's a no cost program, which is just incredible, really. The highly practical courses are very much focused on skill development for business growth. Like I said before, you're looking for an opportunity within your own business, and then you're doing the work to investigate how to put that opportunity idea into action and create a growth plan around this. And one of the things too, like as you go through that, you're collecting these tools on how to do this. So even as you get through the process, if you realize that growth opportunity is really not going to work out, you've gone through it in this case study and you've kind of collected all of these skills so that the next time, an opportunity presents itself, you have those skills in your toolbox to be able to implement. A big aspect of this program is the peer-to-peer learning and collaboration. You'll be in a class with other small business owners in our community. And the peer-to-peer learning aspect of that is huge. Business support services, as I mentioned before, all of the scholars in the program will have a BA that they'll work with one-on-one and in small groups. The cohort sizes are roughly between 30 to 40 small business owners. And as I said before, there is, you come out with this tailored growth plan directly around your business. Little bit on the curriculum. You can see that there are 9 modules, and we have a few workshops and clinics thrown into that. So the modules themselves, we usually run kind of on a Friday. Sometimes there's a Thursday, Friday meeting, and it's all day in the classroom. You're there from, roughly 8 to 5 every day, except some of the clinics and workshops might be just part-time in the evening, just kind of a few hours at the end of the day. But other than that, all of these are full day sessions. John, did you want to add anything a little bit more around the education curriculum, since you're kind of embedded in that aspect of the program? Is there anything I'm missing here?
No, I think you're doing a great job, Stephanie. I would say, go back to what we talked about with the financial statements and some of the criteria that we look for in this process or in this program. And I'm going to go back and focus on the numbers are decisions that you have made, right? So whether you are looking at growth and opportunities and you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, but you're not innovating, you're not growing, there's no focus on that, that's going to be reflected in your numbers. When you look at it's the people, and you look at how you structure, how you treat your employees, the culture you're creating, are you really facilitating an environment that allows your employees to grow your business for you? Maybe that's a yes, maybe that's a no. When we look at operations and processes, when we look at marketing and selling, again, these are all interwoven parts. And Stephanie mentioned that you'll have a toolkit at the end of this where you can make decisions more rapidly, more efficiently, and hopefully with better outcomes. Again, everything we do builds on the previous week and really helps facilitate a greater overall conversation.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks, John. So now I want to turn a little bit to the selection criteria. So this program is looking for that mid-tier business. So we're focusing in on businesses where you're either like the participant in the program is either the owner of the or the co-owner of the business. You've been in operation for at least 2 years. You have annual revenues around $150,000. You know, give or take. That's kind of a fluid number, but that's kind of the target range there is around 150. And that you have at least 4 employees. That doesn't have to be 4 full-time employees, and that does include you as the owner or the co-owner. But really, it's kind of looking at like 4 full-time equivalency. So you might have, you know, a bunch of part-time employees or contract, that kind of thing. But one of the important points about that is we want to make sure that you have the employees and the staffing in place so that you can pull yourself out of your business, out of the day-to-day of your business, in order to attend these modules and really focus on growing your business without, you know, being in the day-to-day while they're taking place. So we want to make sure that you have that support there to manage your business while you're in the classroom with us. And just a desire to grow and create jobs. So that's really one of the key things about this program, is that we're looking for these businesses that have that desire to grow so that we can, you know, create jobs within our own community. So the application process. The way that the application works, we have an online, you know, the first part of the application process is very quick and easy. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. It's just an online application that you fill out. And then ICIC that I mentioned before, who kind of head up our selection and recruitment process, they go through all of those. And then for everyone who kind of meets those criteria, they'll be in touch to kind of follow up, you know, asking for some more supporting materials, financial documents, that kind of thing. And then once they receive those at that point, you'll be scheduled for an in-person interview. It's just a half an hour where you come and meet with us and members, you know, representation from ICIC, for a very informal Q&A session, you know, around your business, around your desire to be a part of the program. So what can you expect with this program? So like I said before, for you, it's a full scholarship. There's no cost. You'll be given access to this completely, well, it says practical curriculum, really to help you grow your business, you know, and really drive that business growth. A convenient class schedule, I had mentioned before, you know, we really try to target these for the end of the week because we recognize that, you know, a lot of times things are a little bit easier to manage on a Friday. So Thursdays and Fridays would be our main days that we would have classroom instruction. Skills that you can take immediately. I know I mentioned before that applied learning, you know, I have heard from people in previous cohorts, you know, the things that they learned in class, even before they got to the end of the program, they were able to take and immediately implement into their business. So there is some immediacy there with the results that you can see. Again, that access to a local and national alumni network, and then just a greater understanding of how to position yourself for access to capital. So what we ask of you is that you would be committed to attending all of the learning sessions, because as I said before, the peer-to-peer learning is a huge aspect of this program. So when you're in the classroom, you're learning from your peers, and likewise, they're learning from you. So it's really important to carve out that time and make sure that you can be at those sessions. Take part in the out-of-class activities. So while there are, you know, most of the learning is done within the classroom, there's a lot of just outside work that has to be done on your part that you kind of bring back, you know, that will continue to drive that growth. Demonstrate a commitment to revenue growth and job creation. Create that growth plan. So that's one of the things that's kind of the culminating effort of the program is to come out with this full growth plan for your business. And then we have some monitoring and evaluation documentation that we kind of go through at the beginning of the program, at the end of the program, to kind of look at the growth that you have incurred during the time of the program. And then we catch up with you at the 6-month mark, at the 12-month mark, at the 18th month mark, to kind of see, like, you know, what have you been able to accomplish? Like, what great things are you all doing after the program. That's how we capture some of those metrics that we can use to continue to drive growth in our community. So the outcome, you come out of this with a great growth plan that you can use. And I know I mentioned this numerous times. All the materials that you learn are there to help you within the program. There's not much more I can say about that. John, do you or Audra, do you have anything to add in terms of outcome for the program?
Well, I actually don't. To add, no, I don't really have a whole lot to add. What I would say though is it's not a one point in time conversation, right? We've had businesses make or implement their growth plan before they even completed the program. We have had people completely pivot their businesses as a result of this. So I think when we focus on the words growth plan, I like to focus on the strategic and tactical implementation, right? So it doesn't really matter what the goal is. You can achieve it as quickly or as slowly as you see fit.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It is. It's those things that you can immediately take and really start thinking about your business and where it needs to go. Impact and kind of reflecting back to some of those evaluation metrics that I had mentioned a minute ago. This is how we get some of those numbers. So we can see that graduates of the program, scholars who go in, small business owners that go into this program, there's a 98.5% graduation rate. So what that really says is how important the skills are and the things that participants are taking away. It was funny, I was just speaking with one of our alumni earlier this week who was really telling me that this really is one of the most comprehensive training programs out there. And just that access to CEO and peer support that is just in a completely different league. And I think that 98.5% graduation rate really reflects what she was saying. They have shown that there is a 67% revenue increase within 6 months of graduating from the program, as well as a 47% increase in creating new jobs, which is great for you as a small business owner. It's great for us within the Columbus metro area, right? Like it really is a meaningful impact. Paying it forward. So one of the things that we have noticed within our program is there is a lot of business that happens within the program itself, within your own cohorts. So many businesses end up kind of collaborating and doing business with each other. And I mentioned before, we're part in Ohio of this multi-site initiative. So not only are you as a small business owner coming out with direct connections in Columbus, we're not that far from Dayton or Cincinnati or Cleveland even. And so you're kind of coming out as a part of this larger alumni network. So, and that's really all that I have today in terms of, overview of the program itself. The website is up there, 10ksbapply.com is where you can go to fill out that first part, that 5 to 10 minute application. And we are accepting applications for our cohort through the end of May. May 29th is our deadline date. If you have any questions about any of this, things that you might think about later on, feel free to reach out. My email address is here. It's shall34@cscc.edu. And I am so happy to help answer any questions that you might have. And with that, that is all that we have for today.